guys, last bit of movie news before we go on and take your live questions. Here, this news dropped. I think it was last night on the Graham Norton show. If you're not familiar with the Graham Norton show, he is well, he's a late night talk show host in London. And Ewan McGregor was on the show, and they started talking about the show, and he dropped this little news bomb where he said, sorry, where am I going? Ewan McGregor confirmed on Friday's The Graham Norton Show that his Disney Plus series about Obi-Wan Kenobi will start shooting in March of 2021 after being delayed by the pandemic. He goes on to say that it's the Obi-Wan Kenobi story, I suppose, McGregor told Norton. It's not all about me, but it certainly will be a lot of me, which is good. We start shooting in March of next year. And if you are a Star Wars fan, this is the kind of news. This is the kind of news that is going to get a lot of people, including myself, excited. Huh? See what I'm doing there?
Excited is the right word.
Say it again?
I said excited is the right word. Are you nervous?
Oh, well, here's the thing, because with the Kenobi television show, so two years ago or 3 years ago, I think it was in 2017, during Star Wars Celebration. Was it 2017? I can't remember what year it was. It was recently. It was very recently. During Star Wars Celebration, Kathleen Kennedy, who is the head of Lucasfilm right now, she came out on stage, and she was ending her presentation, and she said, "You know what? We've got one more piece of news for you." And then she brought Ewan McGregor out on stage and said, announced very publicly and very famously that they were working on a Disney Plus series together as Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was going to be like the story of Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine, in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, Episode 4. So it was this kind of bridge story. It's 6 episodes, I believe. It's only 6 episodes, so it's a very short story, and it's a one-off. I don't believe they're going to be doing a season 2. I think it's only season 1, 6 episodes, and that's it. And I think this is kind of an interesting, exciting thing. And with this particular project, Tim, this project has been in development. It has been off development. They brought it back. It was back on the release schedule, and then they took it off the release schedule. So with this particular project, this is something that the fans, and myself included, have very much been looking forward to, but we're not really sure what's been going on with it, because sometimes they say it's happening, and then sometimes they say it's not happening, or sometimes they're just not saying anything at all. And so it's kind of encouraging and exciting news that cameras will be rolling in March. Now, all of this is to say, take that all with a grain of salt. Just because the lead actor, the lead character of the show is saying, yeah, cameras are rolling in March, anything can still happen between now and then. We're still in a pandemic. Things are still looking bleak. In terms of opening theaters. I mean, I understand that it's a Disney Plus show, so the whole opening of theaters thing isn't all that relevant when it comes to this show. However, everything is impacted. Everything gets pushed back. Increased safety precautions need to be taken on set. That costs money. It takes time. Exactly. Longer. It takes longer. It takes time. So until cameras start rolling, literally, there have been a ton of movies over the years that, they've done all this pre-production, they've built the sets, but cameras haven't started rolling. The day before cameras were supposed to start rolling, the studio will pull the plug, and then the whole thing is dead. Was the death of Superman, very famously, starring what's his name? Nicolas Cage. Superman Lives, I think was going to be the story, directed and partially written by Tim Burton. If you're not familiar,
God, what I wouldn't pay to see that.
Right? Have you seen the documentary, The Death of Superman Lives? It's a fascinating documentary. There was a YouTuber. Sadly, he passed away a couple of years ago. His name was Schnepp. I can't think of his first name. He just went by Schnepp. Everybody knew him from Schnepp. if you know Collider, he was a big pundit on Collider. He used to do a lot of stuff with the Schmoes Know and Screen Junkies, who do the Honest Trailers. I actually had a chance to meet him. I sat down next to him during a movie debate at New York Comic Con years ago. John Schnepp, that's his name, John Schnepp. He wrote and directed this documentary called The Death of Superman Lives. And it was the whole story of how this movie never came to be. It was fantastic. It was fascinating. Anyway, fast forward.
It's really interesting.
Sometimes projects don't happen the way that we think they are. So just because Ewan McGregor says, hey, we're going to start rolling, cameras are going to start rolling in March, doesn't necessarily mean that that's actually going to happen. It probably will happen.
Right.
That's currently the plan. But there's way too many variables right now. I'm excited that this is going to happen. This is a show. I want to see this show more than I want to see The Mandalorian. And The Mandalorian is fantastic. Tim, you've had a little while to ponder this over and to think about it and to hear about the news. Are you as big of a Star Wars nerd as I am? Or are you excited for the show? Like, where do you stand?
Yes, I don't know if I'm as big of a Star Wars nerd as you, but I definitely in stature, but not necessarily in Star Wars knowledge. But no, I love Star Wars. I really do, and I think I said this on your show last time because we probably talked about some Star Wars stuff. I am not like a Star Wars fanatic in the sense that, like, I don't get bothered by stuff that happens in the movies. I enjoy them all, and I know that's not what a lot of people want to hear, but I truly do. Like, I thought Rise of the Skywalker was really fun and good. Like, yes, there's problems with it, but at the same time, I don't care that much. Like, I what I enjoy about Star Wars is that it's a total escape. It's not real. It's fun. It's nostalgic. It's all these things that I enjoy wrapped up into one. I leave those movies feeling like that was so awesome and cool, and like, space is fun and crazy. Like, the only thing that really bothered me about it, I guess, were the horses at the on the, like, that part was like,
what got you?
Really?
Were the horses?
Yeah. No. The horses on the spaceship at the end, where I was like, weird. Okay, but like, that to me, that was the only part that, like,
cool.
Suspended my.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's important to say because that's like how I feel about the movies. I was like, that was weird, but everything else was fine. And I know that there are, like, glaring issues with the canon. I know that there are things that totally disrupt what years have been building towards. But that is where I fall on the Star Wars fandom scale, is that I don't care that much. in so much that, like, my Star Wars universe is not affected by that. Because it is what lives in my brain and my heart with Star Wars is just for me, kind of, in a lot of ways. Like,
yeah, well, I think it's important to realize that Star Wars, there's this faction of Star Wars fandom that has become very toxic because we care so passionately about all things Star Wars, right? And so it becomes a dangerous thing to get too invested. I mean, I've said this on the show all the time, and specifically when we're talking about horror movies. I like the concept of horror movies, but I get too personally invested in the story. I mean, that's why I love, like, all this stuff. It's not just horror films that I get personally invested in. Doesn't matter what I'm watching. I put myself in the driver's seat of whoever is steering the ship. If we're watching a Captain America movie, I am Captain America. If we're watching a Wonder Woman movie, I am Wonder Woman. If we're, it doesn't matter what the movie is, I get so personally invested in these characters and what happens to them that I start to care. Like, I think that's why we love actors. We kind of put actors and celebrities on this pedestal because we get to see what it is that they do, and then we personally identify. Like, we cherry pick the things that we like and don't like. And for the most part, we identify with these people. We identify with these characters, and we become so emotionally involved in their lives, which is a weird concept. But we also get so emotionally involved in the work that they put out there. Like, I love Wonder Woman. That was such a great movie, and I can't wait for more installments. I'm on pins and needles for Wonder Woman 84. Same thing with, like, the Marvel stuff. Same thing with DC stuff. Same thing with, Star Wars. I get so emotionally and personally invested in these characters. But all of that comes with a caveat, right? We need to understand that these are just movies. They don't matter. It, in all sincerity, it kind of doesn't matter. And I think that's one of the great things about like film and cinema and television and like pop art in general is that for the most part, some things matter. But for the most part, they don't matter, right? We can argue about Rise of Skywalker. I think it was a fun movie. I don't think it was a good movie. But it doesn't matter.
Right, right. Well, I think as long as we can argue about it with the base knowledge of or the base understanding that it doesn't matter, then the arguments can still be fun. But when it becomes like, no, you're right and I'm wrong, well then what are we doing here? We're arguing about, once again, like,
Yeah.
what are we arguing about? Something that does,
Because
like,
it's all opinion. It's like film is subjective. Television shows are subjective. You're allowed. The Love Guru. I unabashedly love that movie. It's a
that makes me so
bad
happy.
movie. It's
Yeah, I love you can't don't mess with the Zohan as one of my favorite like bad. It's so bad but
like
so
I
good.
think it's important to recognize like the quality of the film, but even Amazing Spider-Man 2, the Amazing Spider-Man 2, is universally hated by almost all fans, and I think personally it's one of the best of the Spider-Man movies ever made. I understand. I'm in the
I love
vast
that.
minority
I
here.
love that.
Vast minority. Iron Man 2. Everybody hates Iron Man 2. I love it. I think it's one of the best Iron Man films out there. I love it. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, like, who cares? Big deal. That's my opinion. Like, you can side with my opinion, you cannot side with my opinion. That's fine. And we have grossly gotten off topic here.
What were we talking about?
Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi,
Obi-Wan.
new series. All
I don't love Ewan McGregor.
you love Ewan McGregor?
You want to?
Oh,
No, I don't. I don't
so
love
I think
Ewan
it's
McGregor.
easy to say that you're probably not looking forward to this series.
No, I still am looking forward to it. Like is he gonna have that little ponytail?
No, well,
That little
he
braided
cut that off
ponytail in the back?
after the first movie.
Oh, bummer. I think you should
I
bring
mean,
it back for
maybe.
this mini
Sir
series.
Alec Guinness.
It's like, hey,
maybe he had one. Who knows?
no. I think I'm looking forward to it. Disney is one of those entities where, like, I love Disneyland. Partly, I love going to Disneyland. Love Disney in general. Because this is the reason. Like, when I go to Disneyland, it's expensive.
Yeah.
It costs a lot of money. Blah blah blah. But everything's good. Like, everything's going to be at least like the base level of everything there is like much higher than most entertainment forms, so like trying new things is safe within the confines of the park because like it has that like Disney quality to it already, you know what I mean? And I kind of feel the same about their entertainment outside of the parks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the movies and TV and all of that. Like, especially after watching The Mandalorian and absolutely loving it. I mean, I really loved. I love the characters of The Mandalorian already going into the miniseries, but especially the spaghetti western style of it all, and just the pacing, and just something about that was really wonderful. So I'm excited to see what they do with a totally different, miniseries type thing.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's going to be awesome. And Obi-Wan's a great character to explore more of, because is there a more important character in Star Wars that we know
So little about.
so little about? But like when you hear Obi-Wan, it was like, yeah, well, I mean, that's in the pantheon of Star Wars characters. But like, talk to me more about like, okay,
He's
so
such
who
a
is he? What does he
big
do?
character that he's
I don't know.
actually technically crossed over into the Indiana Jones franchise. Are you familiar with this?
I mean, I'm familiar with both franchises.
So,
Time.
in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, it very famously opens in this kind of like 1930s nightclub. Oh shoot, I can't think of her name. Kate Capshaw is introduced. She's singing, you know, all these songs or whatever. Da, 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 da. And then, you know, all hell breaks loose, and,
Anything
you know, Indiana
goes.
Jones has to get out of there as fast as possible. Do you know what the name of the club is? It's named Club Obi-Wan. That's the name of the club.
Oh,
Also,
man.
when you ride the ride of, it was Indiana Jones escapes from, I don't know, whatever in Disneyland, whatever the name of the ride is.
Oh, it's the best. I've just got an old Jeep. I want to paint it to look
There
like one of the
are
Jeeps from that ride.
R2D2 and C3PO Easter eggs hidden throughout the ride.
Yes, I did know that, but that's because of that's the Disney
Yeah.
park
So
nerd
it's,
in me.
I mean,
So
Indiana Jones and Star Wars, being both Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, well, like George Lucas inspired
Right.
like, all these things. You know, I
Yeah.
think it's wonderful. It's beautiful. Obi-Wan Kenobi in the social consciousness. I don't even know what it is that I'm trying to say anymore. I'm excited for this show. I think it's going to be fun if the cameras start rolling. Do you think that there's a chance, Tim, that things are going to get put on hold?
I mean, in today's day and age, there's always a chance that things get put on hold.
So
It
so
depends
let me
on how
ask
they
you this.
approach it,
What are
right?
the
You know, I
chances
mean,
that you think is it 50% over or under? Do you think it's going to be over 50 or under 50 that this is going to be delayed even further?
I don't know. That sounds like a pretty that sounds like an announcement to me. I mean, if you're going to say cameras are rolling in March, that's more specific than anything that's been
I
in the
agree.
past.
I agree.
Um, I don't see I don't know. To be quite honest, like as a theater owner, we're looking at March as as our next potential like
Sure.
open dates. And I think a lot of people have been talking about March as a potential, like we'll know a lot more by then.
Yeah.
It'll be a year, blah blah blah, in terms of pandemic stuff. So I'm going to say under 50% chance that it gets put
Interesting.
on hold
I'm
again.
going to say over 50% that it gets put on hold.
Good. Let's
Because
fight about
this
it.
matters, right? I'm going to say over 50% because, first of all, this was not a studio announcement. This was an announcement from an actor who just happened to be interviewed on a television program.
On the Graham Norton show, they give you wine and beer
True.
on that show too. So
True.
he gets
does.
people liquored
He
up
does.
on live television.
So that, I mean, not that that makes a huge difference, but it is a bit of a delineation. You know, it wasn't an official studio announcement saying cameras are rolling in March. Second of all, if there's anything that we've come to expect from the pandemic, it's that we can't count on anything. You know, right now, Wonder Woman is holding a Christmas Day theatrical release, and I have high doubts that it is actually going to open on Christmas Day. I think it's getting pushed back. Everything else has been pushed back.
I mean, are theaters
There
open
are no
near you?
movie theaters or stage theaters open in New York City right now, period.
So in Reno, where there are no rules, the theaters are open. You can go see movies. I had some friends, well, not some friends, some people I know who went and saw Tenet
Yep.
a while back when it opened. So I know there's a few people going to movies, but not very many. I mean, they are certainly not crowded, and I don't see how a Christmas Day release would work. I don't see how
Well,
any
it's
sort
also
of
a Warner Brothers picture. Wonder Woman is being produced by Warner Brothers, as was Tenet. And if Tenet's lost between the $200 and $300 million mark. It made $300 million so far, but it needed 600 to break even, at least 600 to break even.
Right.
Wonder Woman, you know, is also a Warner Brothers picture. And that's another thing. Like, are they going to release Wonder Woman, another huge, high-profile movie, potentially lose that much more money? I don't see Warner Brothers taking that chance because no other theater or no other studio is.
And I know a lot of people were wondering, like, will they change the way that movies are released? Will we be seeing, like, on-demand releases of new movies, much like Disney did with Mulan? And after that experiment,
they can't afford it.
You know, Nobody wanted to spend. No, you can't.
You have to
You
delay,
need that.
and everything will be fine. Everything will be fine if we can make it through the pandemic. And here's how we make it through the pandemic: wear your mask, wash your hands, social distance. If you can't social distance, wear your mask, wash your hands. If you can't wash your hands, wear your mask. That's it. That's how you make it through the pandemic. And if everybody did this, this whole thing could be over in a month and a half tops. But
Yeah, it'd be nice to be nice.
anyway,
I mean, we were saying that
I
7 months
know.
ago. I'm
I
sorry,
know.
my
It's just,
mood
everything's
totally
just-
shifted.
but that's why I don't think that. Those are my reasons that I don't think the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is going to start filming in March. I think it's going to get pushed back, just like everything else. I mean, it's very possible that.
Well, and what does start filming mean? You know, how much of it can you
Yeah.
do with smaller, like how much stuff can you
B-roll.
can you get
Film only
underway,
B-roll.
right? And this is, yeah, exactly. Film B-roll, film, you know, if you have single actor scenes or, you know, small group scenes, like obviously you could probably figure out a way to do. I mean, look, there's ways to do things. They could do a Obi-Wan miniseries bubble, and everybody that was involved in the project is bubbled for a year and a half, whatever. I mean, the NBA has figured it out. The NBA did it, right? Like, and the NFL, like we're seeing like two huge businesses that are all about their bottom lines. One doing it really well and figuring it out, and one being a little bit greedy and trying to you know, skirt some rules and get away with having people there live, etc. And it not working, and them having disastrous, you know, postponements, cancellations of games, etc. I'm only using this as an example because it's a large scale production as well, right?
Yeah.
With in-person stuff. So I think it's doable, and I think if people wanted to do it, and it would be hard and different, and it would suck for a lot of the, you know, missing families, etc. But if you have to do it, if it's the only way to do what you do for a living, and like, you know, I firmly believe that like all those unionized like the tech people, all the behind the scenes the crews of all those movies, they need to be working, you know, and if they can do it safely, then I think they should. But if you can't do it safely, then you don't, right? It's not like, well, let's just continue to do it, and the collateral damage is what it is. I think there's ways to do things safely. I think it takes a lot more time,
And
investment, a
vigilance.
little bit of money, but it also takes like
we all have to commit to
willpower,
this.
and that's, I think, yes, a commitment to a collectivist mentality rather than an individualistic one. Is what we need, both in terms of getting projects done right now, but also in terms of like us as a society. And
I agree.
We obviously don't have those things.
All right, guys. Well, we talked about everything under the sun. If it was connected to the Obi-Wan Kenobi television series or not, it's all interconnected. It's all interconnected. Anyway, guys, what do you think of the new Obi-Wan Kenobi series? Do you think they're actually going to start filming in March? Like Tim, or are you a little bit more pessimistic like me? Do you think it's going to get pushed back just a little bit more? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that is exactly what Batman from the animated series would want you to do. His name is Batman.